Have you ever been asked, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Well, within the next 5 minutes, you're going to be able to answer that question yourself. But not only are you going to understand your preference, you're going to see how understanding and applying this will help make you a better leader. The whole term introvert and extrovert started with Carl Jung. He was a Swiss-born psychiatrist who came up with different theories. And then later on, there was a mother-daughter duo, Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers, who then created that content and formed an assessment which today we call the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI. MBTI has 4 different areas of opposites. The first one, what we're talking about today, is where we focus our attention and get our energy. And on one side you have extroversion, and on the other side you have introversion. Think of your energy as a balloon. Those that have a preference towards extroversion, sometimes called extroverts, they get their energy on the outer world of doing things, talking to people. That actually fills up their energy. Those that have a preference towards introversion, sometimes called introverts, it's the opposite. If they're in a meeting all day talking to different people, it actually sucks out their energy. For introverts, for them to fill up their energy balloon, it's the inner world of their thoughts. Maybe they're reading a book, they're able to be secluded alone and have just a time to reflect. That's how they get their energy. Within a few minutes of meeting someone, I can usually tell if they have a preference of extroversion or introversion. Here's how. Here's 2 extroverts having a conversation. Let's say they just ended a meeting and one turns to the other and says, "Hey, what'd you think about that meeting?" The conversation would go something like this. "Oh, I thought it was so good when we talked about X, Y, Z. Yeah, I know. It made me think of a bunch of different ideas. Yeah, we could do this and that." And they go back and forth and back and forth. In fact, a lot of times extroverts don't even know exactly what they think about something or their decision until they hear the words come out of their own mouth. And when they're talking, sometimes it's hard for them to be able to fully wait until the other person finishes before they're already thinking and even talking out loud what their point of view is. Now here's a conversation with 2 introverts. "Hey, what'd you think about that meeting?" They process it, think about it, internalize it, and only then do they respond, where the other person processes it, and it goes back and forth with having time to be able to really internalize what's being said, think about it, and then respond back. The fun happens when you have someone with a preference towards extroversion talk to somebody with a preference towards introversion. "Hey, what'd you think about that meeting?" They're thinking about it, thinking about it. Well, let me ask it differently. Maybe that makes sense. They're thinking about it, thinking about it. Well, you know what? Maybe let's talk another time. I don't think I caught you at the right time to be able to have this dialogue. So you can see you as a leader, first being aware of your own preferences, but then understanding the preferences of those that you lead changes everything. On this list are several different ways in which those 2 dynamics are different. As I'm going through, write down which one better fits to you. Now, you might have a preference towards introversion, but still have some of the things on the other side still ring true. And that's normal. We're all flexing both of these at all times, but you have one where it's a natural preference, where most of the time, that's where you gravitate to. Extroverts are focused on the outer world. They get their energy by talking with people, doing things. Introverts, energy through reflecting on information, ideas, concepts. Extroverts prefer to communicate by talking it through. In that example that I showed, they're understanding what they even think as the words are coming out of their mouth. Introverts usually want to internalize it. So they're going to want to communicate initially by writing, or they want to think things through before they fully discuss them. In a social setting, usually extroverts are very sociable. They have no problem introducing themselves. You'll, within a few minutes, understand more about who they are, what they did back in their childhood. They're very forthcoming in their information, whereas introverts are usually a little bit more contained. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't still love people or enjoy being around people, but it's a difference in how they get their energy. So if I'm at a big group gathering, extrovert has no problem jumping around tables, talking to people, but you're going to notice that they go a little bit of depth with a lot of breadth. They're talk to many different people, whereas an introvert wants to go deep with a select few. So you're going to see them usually huddled with maybe people that they already know, or at least in a smaller group, so that they can really get deeper into that conversation. Now, if it's a topic that they enjoy or that they're passionate about, they have no problem talking it through and going very, very deep. But it might take additional time to really get to know an introvert. You probably have to work on that trust and have more of that dialogue before they're going to release all that information. When it comes to public speaking, an extrovert has no problem going off the cuff. They could hear about a topic and within a matter of minutes be able to start talking about it and discussing it. For an introvert, usually they're going to want to plan a lot in advance. And when they give a speech or a presentation, they're going to want to have different bullets to make sure that they're able to say what they want to say. Extroverts do, think, do. Introverts think first, do, think. So now that you know the difference, given the choice, which do you prefer? Extroversion or introversion? We all use both of these as part of our life, but you don't do them usually with equal comfort. One comes naturally. In the next video, I'm going to spend time giving you specific tips for whether you're leading an extrovert or an introvert. How do you better flex your own personality preference to better lead them? I'm Joe Nabrotzky. Until next time, go lead.